I burst out laughing as the bully scrambled to his feet, his face flushed with embarrassment. He ran down the hallway like his pants were on fire. How did you do that?
A magician never reveals her tricks.
After school, I went over to Mr. Thompson's house.
We've got a hamster to turn into a superstar.
Over the next few weeks, Mystic, Mr. Thompson, and I worked our magic on Mr. Whiskers, training him to be a star. Mystic and I became besties. And not only did she teach me incredible new tricks, but she was also super smart. We often had fun competitions between us, pushing each other, and before long, we became the top 2 students in our class. About 3 months later, Mr. Whiskers' training was done. I gave him to Max. Every little boy needs to learn responsibility. Mom and Dad were thrilled, seeing it as a chance for Max to learn responsibility. Little did they know Mr. Whiskers was so much more than that. After our parents fell asleep, we'd sneak out to the abandoned house down the street and put on shows for the neighborhood kids.
Let's give it up for Mr. Whiskers, the magic hamster.
It was like our own secret club, and let me tell you, it was epic. Mr. Whiskers became the neighborhood's rock star. Life was amazing. Until one night, a kid's dog knocked over a lantern, setting the house on fire. Kids screamed and ran while the adults, including our parents, rushed to the scene. As the flames roared, I knew Max and I were in big trouble.
Kara! You did not only endanger your brother, but all the other kids too! How could you be so reckless?
If you'd let us enjoy magic, we wouldn't have to sneak around.
You're grounded for a month, and we're getting rid of Mr. Whiskers.
That night, I slept in Max's room while he cried himself to sleep. I called Mystic the next day. I can't believe my parents got rid of Mr. Whiskers.
Why do your parents hate magic so much?
I don't care. Max hasn't spoken since yesterday. They'll pay for this. And they did. 2 weeks later, Mom hosted a party for her new boss. They wanted everything perfect. Mom warned me.
This party is super important. Don't ruin this for me.
Max had gone totally mute and even lost some weight. If Mom thought I was just gonna let this slide, she was seriously delulu. During the party, I strolled into the room decked out in a witch's costume with warts and a crooked nose.
Good evening, my pretties.
Mom and Dad froze in shock.
I'm here to perform a special trick. I'll make you all disappear, just like my parents made my little brother's voice disappear.
Before Mom or Dad could react, I began to throw smoke pellets onto the ground, making the crowd wheeze and gasp as they began to run out of the house.
Run, my pretties, run!
When the last person ran out of the house, the smoke was gone and Mom and Dad went berserk.
I am so sick and tired of this. I am sending you to boarding school. Honey, don't you think that's a bit too much?
Wait, my father was sticking up for me?
You can't send her away! You can't!
We turned to see Max, tears streaming down his face before he bolted into the kitchen. By the time we got there, he had disappeared. Luckily for us, Mr. Thompson was outside and caught up with Max before he ran out of the yard.
Mr. Thompson, thank you. No problem.
I've never heard my parents fight before, but that night, my parents had a mega fight.
This has gone too far. We have to consider the kids. We are the parents, and what we say goes.
The next few days were eerily quiet. Max stayed in his room, and my parents barely talked. I couldn't shake the guilt. It was all my fault. That weekend, I snuck out of the house and visited Mystic. I made a huge mess. How do I fix it?
Maybe you have to give up magic.
I disagree. It was Mystic's mom. You can prove you've changed by joining me as an intern at the Science Center. At that point, I was desperate. The next day, Mystic's mom managed to get my parents to let me join the internship. I was pretty bummed. Science? Seriously? But at least Mystic would be there too. But when we got to the Science Center and I saw what Mystic's mom did, my disappointment flipped to amazement. The place was packed with mind-blowing exhibits, and her job was to make them come alive with awesome holograms. She was a magic experience designer. You see, logic and magic can work together. Neither is better than the other. But how do I show this to my parents?
Show them how magic and science can work together in useful ways.
As Mystic's mom addressed the interns, she told us about the big competition coming up between science centers across the country with a grand prize of $100,000. For the first time in ages, I felt super excited. I wanted to prove to myself that magic and reality could work together and that I didn't have to choose one over the other. I dove into the internship. We chose an underwater theme, and I thought I'd check Dad's notes, which he had stored in the attic for a project he did last year with his students for some ideas. Where did Dad put those papers? Just as I found Dad's papers, a book tumbled to the floor. I picked it up and flipped it open. Mom's handwriting? A diary! A grin spread across my face. Could this have all the tea on Mom's life as a teen? I was about to dive in when my phone buzzed, snapping me out of my curiosity. It was Mystic. Ugh, timing. I glanced at the diary, my fingers itching to read just one entry. But nope, not today. I quickly messaged Mystic back. I tugged the diary and Dad's papers into my bag. The juicy secrets could wait. I had a competition to focus on. Over the next few weeks, I barely had time to think about anything else. But then, cue dramatic music. The night before the competition, it hit me. Mom's diary. I'd completely forgotten about it. I was so ready for Mom's teenage drama, but what I read next made my head spin. Everyone laughs at us, and I hate it. Mom needs to find a real job, not this fortune teller nonsense. Yesterday, the kids at school said we're circus freaks. I'm so embarrassed. I just want a normal life. Each entry was almost the same. Grandma was a fortune teller and also performed in circuses. And as a teen, Mom got teased about it her entire life. So she struggled to get rid of it all and studied very hard to be a successful person. A rush of guilt hit me hard. I wanted Mom and Dad to get me, but I'd never really tried to get them. I acted like a jerk. The next morning, I woke up determined to fix things. I ran to my parents' room, ready to apologize for everything, but when I opened the door, they weren't there. I checked Max's room next, but he was gone too. I pinned the flyer for the competition on the fridge for them to see, hoping, praying they'd show up today. I blinked back the tears that threatened to spill. Why couldn't they just be there for me, just this one time? Pull yourself together, Kara. Today is competition day. Win first, cry later. I quickly pulled myself together and got dressed. I drove to the competition with Mr. Thompson, Mystic, and her mom. When we got there, the other interns were waiting for us. Okay, team, let's win this. As we added the final touches to our display, I couldn't lie. I was definitely intimidated. Some of the displays looked like something out of a science magazine. It made me realize just how big this was and how much I really wanted us to win, needed us to win. And finally, it was showtime. As the lights dimmed, the room fell silent and the judges leaned in. Mystic's mom hit the switch and the space around us transformed. Glowing jellyfish drifted through the air while a massive squid swirled above the judges' heads. As each creature swam by, we hit them with fun facts, explaining how this kind of interactive exhibit would totally capture audiences' attention and take learning to a whole new level, mixing science with a bit of tech magic. As the presentation ended and the lights turned on, I heard a familiar voice. Kara! It was Max! And my parents! You did great! Thanks, buddy! What you guys did today, it's nothing short of amazing.
We're so proud of you.
And it was a lot more exciting than Dad's rock collection.
We're sorry for everything. I should have listened.
I read your diary about Grandma. You should have explained it to me. Tears welled up in my eyes as I hugged them both. I'm sorry for all the mess I caused.
We promise to communicate better going forward.
Thanks, Dad. Just then, the judge's announcement echoed through the room.
And the winner is the Madison Science Center's holographic underwater world.
After the competition, Mystic, Max, and I started a TikTok account. Our parents even joined in. We taught them magic tricks, which was hilarious. Mystic's mom helped us enter more competition, and we nailed them all. By college, we were getting invites to international events, and we got pretty famous. We also began our own company, offering magical experiences to schools and businesses. How cool is that? When you're passionate about something, work hard and always believe in yourself. Trust me, success will sparkle in ways you never saw coming.